Hotep, everybody. How's everybody doing? That's what I want to hear is wonderful times. You ready for me, Miss Judy Duty? That's the boss. I keep telling y'all, we got a whole bunch of unsung heroes around here. So I don't mess with Miss Judy. We are going to begin in traditional UAM fashion. So we're going to ask that you all stand as we sing our national anthem. I'm going to ask that you all put your cell phones on vibrate, or if you need to shut them off, please do so. I'm going to ask that you all remain from engaging in personal conversations when our speaker arrives. It's imperative that we show the utmost respect the way we would like to receive it. Brothers and sisters, I give you UAM's resident songstress, Sister Judy McNeil. Give it up.
I'm telling you, there's much excitement up in here. So I'll take that salutatory introduction. Okay, on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. Ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won.
Yes. Yes. That's what I'm talking about. I want you to keep that inspiration. Just play back over in your head the words of our national anthem. I'm going to wait till y'all stop talking. Play those words over again in your head. Hear the meaning of those words. Today, this is an historic moment. Each of you here today are a part of history. Marcus Messiah Garvey said that it was imperative that we organize and think Africa first. So it's this time that I give praise and thanks to that warrior brother, Ashe.
Ashe.
He laid a blueprint. He told us that we had to erase this white supremacist mindset from ourselves. He said, kill that nigger in your head first. Today, Khalid Abdul Muhammad is happy with us. Ashe.
Ashe.
This brother gave us an analysis of the entity that we are dealing with and an analysis of ourselves. Dr. Amos Wilson is happy with us today. Ashe.
Ashe.
A sister at the age of 16 became revolutionary. She said that lynching had to be brought to the forefront of black folks and the world's mind. But lynching has not stopped. She's with us today. Ashe, Ida B. Wells, Ashe.
Ashe.
Our sister, who had her eyes almost busted out of her head, her skull cracked open in Mississippi, fighting for this moment today. I feel Fannie Lou Hamer, Ashe.
Ashe.
Today, Kwame Ture, he said black folks needed a political education. Today, he is with us and he is smiling, Ashe.
Ashe.
We cannot forget our sister Ella Baker. Her voice, I hear it. I feel Harriet Tubman. I feel Sojourner Truth. I feel her coming through me. I feel my grandmother Elizabeth coming from South Carolina, being one of only few black women to live in Brownsville, Brooklyn, amongst Jews. I remember the story she told me as a child. Call out to your grandmothers tonight. Call out to your great-great-grandmothers tonight. Your great-grandfather. Your great-great-grandfather. Ashe. Ashe. Ashe.
Ashe.
You may all be seated. These are powerful times. These are powerful times, and our people are ready for what's coming. Your Brooklyn Borough president said, we've been ready. Let's give it up for Sister Annie Marie Thomas. We are hitting the streets full force this weekend. We are going district by district. We are going to rally up the troops. As a matter of fact, we've already begun doing so. Sister Anna Marie has been engaging in conversations with people on the street, and in the subways, and on the buses, and they are excited. Sister Judy McNeil and her son Leonard, give it up for them. They have been conversating with people and they are riled up. Sister Robin Pugh is doing her thing in social media. People are well riled up. And our brother, Big Mike Graves. I keep saying there's nothing greater than a black man who will stand strong for black women. And he does that. He stood with Nafissatou Diallo. He stood with Tawana Brawley. As a matter of fact, we did security with the Brawleys together. He, Brother Leonard, and myself. This is our time. We got to do it now. It's breezy outside right now. But that's Garvey. He said, catch me in the whirlwind. Don't cover up. Let that breeze go through you. I'm excited. I am overwhelmed. And it's rare to get me overwhelmed. My uncle is here. Give it up for my Uncle Larry, Vietnam man right here. I think y'all heard him on Community Cop yesterday, right? My parents passed on some time ago.
Take your time. They here. They're still with you. They here. They're still with you, sister. Take your time.
My uncle picked up the call. He is a father figure for me. kid, my mother told me, she said, there's a good time for you. You don't know when, I don't know when. Then she started to tell me the reason why she gave me the name that she gave me. My name was supposed to be Denise. I was supposed to be named after my father. And my grandmother came in the hospital room. She said, no, her name is going to be Keisha. My mother said, what? No, it's going to be Keisha, and that's that. And if you knew my grandmother, she was a no-nonsense type of woman. But I found out at my family reunion a few weeks ago that the Gullah Geechee people always names the firstborn an African name. And so that's why I was my mother's firstborn. But we are in great movement. Brother Maddox has been working. I mean, he laid the blueprint. Give it up for him. You know, y'all see Old Maddox when he come up here, but I don't see Old Maddox. I don't know Old Maddox. I see Marcus Garvey when he speaks. My grandmother told me how to look and reach for the spirit. My grandmother Lillian, my father's mother, Indian woman, and she always told me to look for the spirit, never look for the person. And so I try to do that. But today, we have so many spirits in here. It's like they all trying to push through me to speak all at once. I'm serious. You know, Brother Phil Valentine tried to teach you how to reach into that. But they're here. You know, some of y'all I ain't never seen before in here. But you came here because your ancestors called you here. See, you think you just said, well, I'm just going to go with so-and-so and go to this meeting tonight and see what's going on. That's a lie. That's a bold-faced lie. See, you had a grandmother or a great-grandmother that went through some realness, that was waiting for this moment. 100 years from now, they're going to read about us. The people in New York who decided enough was enough. That they will be revolutionary, not just for themselves, but for those yet unborn. That's what it's about. So when they put the pressure on my brother Big Mike to run for mayor, and they put pressure on him, I said, he won't do it alone. I'm going with him. I said, Mike, if you go, I'm going. That's how we roll. Sister Anna Marie came to us about a little more than about 4 or 5 weeks ago. Stayed up all night with us in the meetings. And Brother Maddox had us here till like 2 o'clock in the morning. Y'all know I'm telling the truth. She answered the call and said, I'm rolling with y'all. See? It wasn't by accident she showed up here. And a brilliant sister. Y'all get to know Sister Anna Marie. Loving and just beautiful in her own right. Then Brother Ethan said, well, I don't know if I could do this. But then he answered the call. That's how it worked. Then Brother Tyrone said, well, I'm going to put my feet in the water. We needed an office and a headquarters. And Sister Judy and James Anthony said, I got it. That's how it worked. Sister Geneva Butts and John Smith and Vera Osborne been working just as hard. And y'all sit up here, but the Queen Bee is in the back. Sister Leola Maddox is in the back. I'm going to tell you something about hanging around elders. You gain a whole lot of wisdom. Elders and babies. So you see, I roll with Sister Maddox. And you see, I have my youngest niece here. I roll with the babies. That's how I know how to deal with y'all. Rolling with them. And my uncle is here. He'll tell you I always hung out with the elders. You know, even when I was a small little thing, I was with my uncle and my aunts and them hanging out, dancing on tabletops. The life of the party. But that's just how God made it. It's divine. While my friends was hanging out in the street, I was rolling with them. See how that worked? And Brother Amin put it to me. He said, you got to run. Him and Brother Huff. I flat out told them, no. No. But I couldn't let my big brother do it alone. So we are ready to roll with the Freedom Party. I want y'all to stay excited. Stay excited. We are going to turn this city around and upside down and inside out in our favor for once.
We're going to turn this mother out.
Y'all heard the Brooklyn Borough president. But I'm not going to take a lot of y'all time. Because we got a master teacher with us tonight. You know, Imam Benjamin Bilal. How many of y'all seen him in here before? Uh-oh, y'all, the rest of y'all for a treat. And I hope you brought your pad and your pencil or your iPad or something to take some notes, because after listening to this brother, he had me studying in a different way. You know, I put what he said and Brother Maddox say together when they say you have to study the language and how things are presented to you, how things are spoken to you. You got to pay clear attention. But I want you to get on your feet for this master teacher. In my eyes will be in your eyes, Imam Benjamin Bilal. Give it up. Give it up. Give it up.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Good to see you. Greetings to everyone. Assalamu alaikum. And I would only ask that you afford me just maybe a minute to put this particular address on our conference call line. And we'll be ready to roll from there. Okay. We'd like to greet you once again officially with the greetings of peace. Peace be unto you. Peace be upon you. Assalamu alaikum. Very, very thankful and blessed to be here again to address you. First and foremost, I would like to thank Ms. Leola Maddox for the initial invite through one of the regular participants here, that would be Abdul Latif Amin, and his wife, his wonderful wife. Say it again. Yeah. That's her signature. Yeah, you know. And he told me about the efforts that were taking place here, and especially the efforts related to the assisting of the children, the next generations among us. And anybody with any modicum of sense knows innately to support an effort that involves the sustaining, of the integrity of your people through their future generations. All of the work that we put in, all of the things that we do, all of these things that we're trying to establish for ourselves as a community of people in the midst of America, and we don't have to get into all of the nitty-gritty details of what America represents. America represents both sides of the scale, depending on what side of the fence you're standing on. But there are those of us who have not been allowed to stand on either side of the fence. And we've been doing what's called straddling the fence, just trying to keep our balance, because if we fall on the right side, there are tigers waiting to gobble us up, and if we fall on the left side, there are hyenas waiting to gobble us up. And we think they are two different animals when they're all in the same family. So we just have to do our best with this balancing act until we garner enough strength among ourselves as people to establish ideas, concepts, a knowledge base that we can safely operate from, that will not allow us to be the victims of the world's crazy appetites. And this world will eat you up and spit out the bones. So I'm going to speak to you again, and it's very interesting that the majority of the people here were not here prior to this to hear me lecture. I think this is maybe my fourth time or fifth time here addressing this audience, and it's a beautiful thing to walk in here and see this many people and this much interest in, if not the speaker, at least the subject matter. And the subject matter for today is actually a part 2 of a subject that I broached about a month ago called the African American brain drain. Yeah, I'm going to repeat that. The African American brain drain, part 2. All of you know, who have heard me, that I come from an Islamic basis or foundation. But again, if you have been listening to me, you also know that my understanding of the religion called Islam and my presentation of the ideas related to Quranic logic are quite different than what you may have heard coming from the average Muslim. And I think you know that by now, that I have done my best to represent al-Islam, which is the proper term, al-Islam, not Islam. A lot of people preaching Islam. I'm not quite sure where they got it, because the prefix al is a definite article, which makes Islam something definite, not generic, not store-bought, not sifted from somebody else's concept, but directly related to what the Quran itself purports or teaches. And I understand the knowledge that is in the Quran to be that which is rooted in the natural order of creation itself, and the logic that is learned from keeping your mind's eye on creation. Not keeping it on the white man, not even keeping it on the African man, keeping it on something that was in existence before any human being walked the planet Earth. And that is the very natural order upon which everything on earth has been established. So I'm a science man as well as a language man, because I understand language to be an outgrowth of science. There would be no language if they were not for the study of things in our environment. All language is a product of things studied in our environment. That's the first point. We're talking about the brain drain, right? Well, if we're going to heal that brain, We're going to have to get rid of all of the stuff that has been put in it that represents poison, that represents sedatives that were designed to put our minds asleep. Like that Adam in the Bible Genesis was put into a deep sleep. And that's when the party began for that little creepy crawler dude. Huh? Yeah, he went over to Adam's mate and started whispering and suggesting. God don't know what he's talking about. Follow my plan. My plan is going to open up your eyes, and you'll be able to see, just like all the rest of us, powerful and important people. And she bit. And since then, the whole world has been bitten. But we're here to remove the teeth marks, and remove the wound itself that serpent has caused. The Quran itself, you need to understand, was actually revealed for the benefit of the human intellect. It was not revealed for a particular nationality of people. It was not revealed for the Arabs. It was not revealed for the Jews. It was not revealed for the Christians, and it was not revealed specifically just for Muslims. The Quran is not a book for Muslims alone. That's the first point that some people who call themselves Muslim do not want you to know. Because everybody who comes into something that helps their situation to advance forward, they like to lock that thing in for themselves. If you have something good, you're supposed to share it if it's worth anything, right? That's right. And in sharing it, it's going to proliferate. And what you actually put out as a seed is going to come back to you manyfold. But imagine the stupid farmer holding on to his little seed. He don't want to plant it. He doesn't want to plant it in the ground. Because then there are going to be so many trees that he and his little family, they won't be able to manage all of those resources. Well, that's how many of us have been with knowledge. That's how many of us have been with information that is designed to help the majority of people on earth get themselves back into human frame again, back into the human framework, back into a decent outlook on self and others. But we haven't taken advantage of it because the people who have been hoarding all of the knowledge, hoarding and distorting information, have been in charge of the show for thousands of years now. And it is only in this day and time that that particular trend is beginning to dissipate. And we're going to get into some of the reasons why. So I'm not here to sing a blues song. I might do a happy dance before it's all over. Because this is our day for real. You heard the information that preceded me. You should know that you're living in a new day and time that favors those with great intentions and favors those whose oppressed souls are now beginning to express themselves. And whether you understand this next remark or not, you should believe it, that our people have cosmic help now.
Yes.
And I don't know if you understand 100% what I'm talking about. Whereas in days gone by, we have been looking for African help. We've been looking for presidential help, Congress help, senatorial help, mayoral help, all kinds of help of people who have actually let us down after making us believe that they were in our corner. But if you believe in God, you have to believe that God created an order, a cosmic order, that he is now allowing to come to our very rescue if we would but tune in to that cosmic power. Now, I'm not trying to get metaphysical on you tonight. I'm just trying to let you know that there's a bigger world than Mayor Bloomberg. There's a bigger world than anybody who's sitting in the presidential seat, currently, past, or in the future. Bigger world than that. As we used to say, bigger fish to fry. But we need superior information in order to pull it off. So again, the Quran was revealed for the benefit of the human intellect. The word for intellect in the Quran is aql. Now, some of these words might sound funny or might tickle a little bit in your throat as you pronounce them, but as we go along, I'm going to ask you to pronounce certain words. Everyone say aql. Aql. Right. If I were to transliterate that into English letters, it would be A-Q-L. Aql. Right? Aql represents the human intellect. Now, why was that word chosen by these ancient Arab people who had nothing else to do but study their environment? Because nothing else was popping in ancient Arabia. Wasn't nothing else going on. They had major superpowers of their day and time flanking them on both their right and their left. But those major powers never swooped down into that Mecca territory in order to take from them whatever resources were made available, because there were no real resources in Mecca. A bunch of sand and a square box. We're talking before the coming of Muhammad the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. A square box that housed so many idols that it would give television a run for its money. See, that's our small square box now that houses all of the idols. We call them television idols. We're star worshipers, whether you realize it or not. We like to laugh at the ancient pagan people and talk about how they were star worshipers, but you have more star worshipers in this modern Western world than you ever had in the world, historically speaking. It's just that our stars are called Burt Reynolds and whoever else is out there. Yeah, but every time we turn the television on or pay a ticket to go see their movies or their concerts or their plays, we're worshiping the stars also. What we need to realize is that many of those stars are falling. And a new sun is about to present itself. So this term aql was connected to the idea of one who gets off of his riding animal, his pack animal, his horse or his camel, and would use some rope or some other apparatus to tie this camel to the post so that the animal would not be able to get away while the rider takes care of his or her business. That was aql. Now, why did they use this word to signify the human intellect? Because they understood that the intellect was a property in the mind that was used for reasoning with each other, with negotiating person to person. And they knew that if they were to let their emotional self get in the way, that the reasoning that they were trying to establish in this business or in this particular interaction with other people, that reasoning would become null and void. And the emotional side of things would rear its head and probably ruin the negotiation. So they saw reasoning in the intellect as being something distinctly different from emotionalism, handling something emotionally. As a people, and I'm talking about the African American people now, we have been trained to think and to react emotionally to most information that is presented to us. I'm just telling you the plain facts. Because they understand us to be a water people. We're an emotional people by nature. And there's nothing wrong with being an emotionally based people. That's natural. That's better than being a fire-based people, where your every intention is to burn somebody else up. No, we set out to share resources with the world as an African people, ancient African people, to share the little that we had even in the South, post-slavery. Our people are just beginning to lose that particular trait. It's still maintained to a great degree in the South, but here in the North, we have virtually lost that interest that we used to have in each other's welfare, in each other's well-being, in our children's well-being. If you would walk past an elder 40, 50, 60 years ago, especially in the South, and not say good morning or good afternoon or good evening, you were in trouble. And that same That same, thank you, sir. That same idea existed here in the North also. You couldn't just disrespect grandma. You couldn't just disrespect auntie or uncle without some severe consequences. But that's all but lost in this particular day and time. A young 12-year-old, 13-year-old, forget the boys, we're talking about the girls now, on the city bus, on their way to school, or on their way from school. Grandma gets on the bus with a handload of bags. That 12-year-old won't give up and give grandma her seat. And that 12-year-old will continue to cackle and to cuss and to fuss using words that sometimes I think I've never even heard some of these words before. You know, they got combination cuss words now among some of our young people. Combination cuss words. Stick this up your and come lick my, and these are the girls talking about what they're going to do to each other. Saw a video on YouTube. Young girl arguing with some other girl at the end of the bus. She has her infant baby in her arms. You may have seen this. Infant baby in her arms. But she's going to argue, and the girl is saying, listen, you got your baby. You don't want none of this. You don't want to fight. Just mind your business. Go on home. Take it. Listen, I don't care. And they're back and forth. Do you know that girl got up and threw her baby into the lap of a man, a strange man, across the bus and went to fight this girl? See, that's somebody who did not tie the akal. The akal was left untied and the animal got loose. So the Quran addresses that problem, that malady in the life of emotionally based people, to tell us that in order for us to be able to grow and develop as true human beings, we have to follow a particular pattern for growth. Growth is not haphazard. It's not haphazard in the plant. It's not haphazard in the tree. It's not haphazard in the animal or the insects. Why do we think growth would be haphazard in us? Growth is supposed to be structured. But if they have kept hidden from us the science of that structure, how a human being is supposed to grow and develop along natural lines of development, then that's where all of the problems begin. Because we're growing unnaturally. The brain that God has created us with operates and relies on information. Now, I'm a wordsmith. Where's Keisha? Yeah, she knows. She'll tell you in a minute that I love words. And I've loved words since I was a little boy. I'd be in the room, and I come from a large family. But I did not need all of that company every day of my large family to keep me entertained, because you could just lock me in my room with a book, encyclopedia, dictionary. And if there were a word there that I didn't know, I'd look it up. Most of my education on words came from listening to black music and our lyricists, our Marvin Gayes and our Stevie Wonders. And if they would give a word that I didn't know, I'd go right to the dictionary and look it up, and I got more education doing that than I got in school, in the public schools. Yeah. Only problem I had was with James Brown. Because I couldn't find look a here. You know, I couldn't find, I'm looking for it, but I couldn't find it. Yeah. Hit me, yeah, That was kind of violent where I came from, But James got away with it. Oh, yeah. But these were our cultural griots. See? These were the people who, in the absence of formal education on the part of most of us, these were, in fact, our educators. They told us what life was about. They told us what relationships were about. And the relationships that they told us about was much more natural than the relationships that you find being spewed off of the tongues and out of the mouths of many of these younger performers. And I don't totally blame them. They're born into that. But at some point, we have to get with them and all over again become their educators. The elders have to come back to their position as natural-born teachers of our future generations. Yes. So I want you to listen to words that you've heard all of your life but never really investigated. This word information. Look at it carefully. Listen to the sound of it. You hear the prefix in, inside. You see the word formation. You also see the word format. Information provides an internal format for you. And it represents knowledge that is actually already a part of your very biology. See, this world has made us think that information is something they have to give us. They made us think that information is something that you have to go to school and sometimes even pay for. They made us think that information is something that comes from one race or ethnic group who got all the smarts. God gave them all the brains. And God gave the rest of the world, the majority of the world, no brains. So those who have no brains have to sit in the company of those who have the brains so that the haves can give the have-nots what it is they need, to be motivated and to be achievers in life. But if you don't go to the haves, you won't have it. All of that is a lie. Everything that you need to get started on the road to your own particular greatness as a people is already in you. And they know that, and they locked those ideas within the terminology that they established, especially in the English language. English language is what they call a bastard language. That's not our language. That's their language. They are the ones who are saying that English has no real mommy or daddy. They really don't know who the papa is when it comes to English. But them people developing that English, they done ran through every group of people. To the point now where if you look in Webster Dictionary, American Heritage Dictionary, and look for the origin of these words, it's going to say one word be Latin, the other one be Greek, the other one be German, the other one be Arabic, another one be Hebrew, another one be from Sanskrit. They took languages from all over the world to develop this sophisticated language that they now call the English language that dominates the planet as we speak. We're going to tell you how crazy that is. Because it's a scheme. There are a group of people in history known as the Benedictine monks who were primarily responsible for the development of not only the English language, but most major languages on earth. They went around the planet, to the best of their ability, establishing terminology and meanings for things. And they became so popular that now in your colleges and universities, you can't even graduate before they open up the ceremony with the benediction. And that benediction is a tribute to the Benedictine monks, alternately known as the black monks. Not black in skin color, black in secrecy. In the secrecies that group held related to the language, related to concepts. The world is based on language. The world is actually ruled not by money, but by language. And if you are enslaved, especially in 2013, it is because you are enslaved more to language and misunderstood concepts, beginning with the concepts you see and believe about you and yours. When you can wake up in the morning and look at your little son and call him a little nappy-headed nigger, you're being ruled by language. So you already have an internal format. That is where information comes from. And it forms you inside. That's what information is saying. It is an understanding of things that forms you internally. What they're not telling us is that every single one of us is born with native information. Natural born intelligence. That's another word that they locked up. Intelligence. I looked up in a dictionary the word intelligence. It said intellect. I said wrong. I said to myself, that's wrong. These people have gotten sloppy with language. Intelligence and intellect are two separate and distinct things. If you look at the word intelligence, it means internal, communication, telegraph, telephone, telegram, communication. Coming from where? The gents, the genes, your DNA. It's already in you, that's right. Inherited. Generation to generation. You see gene in the word generation? Generation to generation. That no man or woman or teacher or parent gives you. You are born with it. It's a free gift from your creator. Free gift. You don't have to tell the baby where to go for milk. As soon as that baby's born, he or she will make their way to the nipple. With no guidance, no signposts. Nobody standing there with a big sign that says milk and an arrow. God put an arrow on the belly. He put a black line right there. Said, well, I know you can't see, that's God speaking, because I didn't create you to be able to see any further than your mother's distance. Isn't that beautiful? He created the baby to see no more distance than 12 inches. Everything else is a blur. So she gets to recognize her mother's face. Because her mother should be the only one with that kind of proximity. The mother and the closest relatives, right? Daddy and maybe the siblings. These are the people. Now, if somebody else is in your child's face, that's a part of the brain drain. That's a part of the issue that we have with allowing strangers up in our business.
That's right.
Even the doctor shouldn't be that close. And if you could do without them altogether, you'd be better off. Excuse me. You'd be better off. Incidentally, to those of you who are fasting the month of Ramadan, Ramadan Mubarak. Yes, we're in the final throes of that wonderful month. So, information is naturally in you. That's the point. And they even developed the word education to represent that idea. Education, as I told you once before, is from the word educe. E-D-U-C-E. And E on the front of a word means to go out. Educe means to lead out or to go out. Just like we say exit. That E represents a going out. When you see I-N, it represents a coming in. E-X, E-D, those words means to go out. So educe means to lead out, not to bring in. So how come most of us are thinking that education means that we're to sit in somebody's classroom and let them fill our heads full of whatever it is they say they know? No. Educe means to bring out the deuce. Oh, I love words. I wish you could see what I'm seeing. You will by the time we're finished. Educe means to bring out the deuce. And what are we referring to now? This particular English word that came through the French language and came through the Latin language actually traces back to that ancient Arabic language that we were discussing. And there's a word in Arabic that's found in the Quran called dassa. That's where they get the word deuce. Dassa. Dassa means to bury a thing. D-A-S-S-A. If you know Arabic, it would be dal, seen with what's called a shedda on top of the scene. Dasa. It means to bury a thing, and it also means to become corrupt. Now, what in the world does that have to do with education? What it is saying is this. There are certain things that the Creator buried within you. It's called, again, your native intelligence. If that native intelligence is not educed or brought out of that dormant state, then that native intelligence will become stagnant and will become corrupt. In other words, as they say in the world, if you don't use it, you lose it. If you do not use that native-born intelligence, then you lose it, and what was originally common sense, intelligent living without the aid of any school on earth, our people used to be intelligent, wise, because we were using that wisdom. We were sharing that wisdom, passing that wisdom down on to the future generations. But when we became of the mind type that said no more sharing, cutting off the generations, allowing the manipulators to cut us off from our future generations, not share information. Nobody's speaking to grandma anymore. Nobody's speaking to grand uncle anymore. Children growing up right in the same house and have no idea what the life environment was for their grandmother, their grandparents, what the struggle was that they had to go through to establish life so that this little guy could walk around and eat cornflakes. They have no idea, so they can't appreciate those generations before them. So when you don't bring that native intelligence out, it remains in you and it will become corrupt. It will become putrid. So much so that when we start speaking, most of what will come off of that tongue that is supposed to be an intelligent human tongue will be foolishness, idle talk, waste of time for the average intelligent person. Every day. Some people have made a living off of just talking foolish talk. They do that with most of our comedians.
That's right.
They might be intelligent, personally speaking, but what they have been trained to bring to the majority of our people is nothing but sheer foolishness. Got their head where their butt should be, and their butt where their head should be. Isn't that a shame? So information is already in you. And it forms in you something that is called your conscience. Everyone has heard that word, right? Your conscience. Somebody spell that word for me, out loud. One person. Yes, ma'am. Yes. No, ma'am. That's conscious. I want conscience. Yes. I'm sorry, give it to me once again. Yes. There you go. What do you notice about that word? Yeah, the word science is in there. This is where they hide their wisdom in the English language. The word conscience is con-science. Yes. Con means with. That means that this thing in you called conscience is supposed to operate with science. What does that mean? That means that within your conscience, there's supposed to be structure. Just like we spoke about a little while ago. Not haphazard thinking. In your conscience, which is a native part of your biology. If you don't believe it, if you don't believe this body has a conscience, stick this hand in the fire. And what your dumb intellect couldn't pick up, your intelligent biology will register. And that hand will draw back. Because Allah, God, created this biology with intelligence in the DNA. However, the knowledge that you gather after your five senses become open to the environment. See, you're delivered from the wombs of your mothers, and your five basic senses begin to operate. Wow. Whoa. Ooh. Good smelling. Bad smelling. Right? The five senses begin to operate. Now, the information that comes in based on five sense participation with creation, that is what forms your intellect. And that is different from your intelligence. Intelligence, you already have it. But the intellect is a product of the knowledge that is accrued from you studying the things around you, keeping your senses open. That's another trick they played on us. They had all of us pay very little, if any, attention to what is actually going on in our environment. You say, did you hear about the such and so that they're about to do that's going to shut all of us down in a minute? No, I don't know what you're talking about. And it's right there on Yahoo. As they were going to the games on the computer, they passed right by it. Because we're trained to not be conscious of that information that should be registering in our conscience. So again, just like intellect and intelligence are two different things, conscience and being conscious are two different things. Conscience means that you are operating based on a scientific principle. Your body says, I don't like filth. The infant says that without the ability to speak. Let the diaper get dirty. Huh? Ah! Can't take it. Let somebody with a negative vibration get close to that baby. Ah! No, don't pick me up. Put me down. Huh? The infant has that much sense in its conscience. But when the infant begins to learn about situations in its environment, and the infant's brain begins to make choices as to what he or she will allow based on what it believes will be best for it. That's how the mind makes choices. You're supposed to choose between two things and choose the thing that represents help for your life. That's what the intellect does. See, intellect is internal election. I'm going to say it again. The word intellect is really a combination of the words internal election, internal choice making, choosing between two things based on what is best for the life. But again, we have been trained by the most magnificent master manipulators that history has ever produced to even bypass that safety mechanism. And we're given choices of two things, and we as a people now are in the habit of choosing the worst thing. The worst thing, not the better thing, the worst thing for us. So our young people are running around sucking on 40-ounce bottles of beer. And it's not just the young folk. Our young boys are walking around sagging. Now, I'm not saying this to beat up on our young people. I love our young people. And I believe they love me. That's what they tell me. But I'm only saying that I'm obligated to say, because if we can get their young minds acclimated correctly, most of the work that we think we have to do will already be done. Because the real energy that is necessary to propel this movement forward is in their laps and in their hands and in their brains. And they have been historically positioned and conditioned for the job. The only deficit in our young people right now is they don't have the proper guidance. They have the willpower, they have the muscle, and more than that, they are fearless on the most part. And our ancestors prayed for people like that. See, don't let that be lost on you. During slavery, we had ancestors that prayed to God. They said, listen, I'm in this situation, and it doesn't look like I'm going to be out of this for a minute. But will you please bless us, God? with a people who won't fear this white man like we fearing him today, who be able to speak back with authority, speak back with clarity, speak back with a motivation to never be under that tyrannical rule again. So we saw it surface in the hip-hop movement. I'm talking about the initial movement, where brothers and sisters were writing rhymes and lyrics, woke you up and kept you awake. And the enemies of all of us said, that's TMI. That's too much information for those niggas. We got to do something about this. And do you know that I recently heard a report that said that some of the top moguls in the music industry got together during a course of several meetings, and they decided to design gangster rap. See, we think it came from one of us on the corner, the Bronx, Brooklyn, somewhere. No, gangster rap is actually a product born out of a series of meetings among very, very wealthy and powerful people in the music industry. And they went into an agreement with the penal institutions around the country to say that if we deliver a particular music that will influence these young folks in the ghettos especially, to engage in behavior that will eventually land them in jail, then you'll make money and we'll make money. See, that's how they do us on the chessboard. They treat our people like chess pieces. And the only way they can get away with it is because we don't have the information to counteract it. Most of us don't even know what's going on. We're talking about the African American brain drain. A very popular scientist made the statement in his book that every new thought creates new cells in your biology. See, you're born with a particular group of cells, and as you continue to engage these five senses with creation, the things around you in your environment, those new thoughts that are being developed actually participate in the creation of new cells that actually override, in many cases, the information that your old cells possessed. Your old cells were called parent cells. You were born with those. That's where your DNA information is. That is where the information is that says that I am innately dignified. See, the human being knows that. I have a natural born dignity. I don't need a United States Constitution or anybody else or anything else to prove it to me. You look in the mirror and you know you're dignified. You do. And I mean without the vanity part of it. You look and you compare yourself and look at the gorilla and look at you and the dog and then look at you and look at the snake and you say, well, I'm something a little above that. I got a little something else going on than these creatures that are stuck in the mold of instinct. Can't get out of their instinctive drives. Can't move away from their instinctive urges. I got something more than that. I can change my mind. That bird can't. I can build me a condo. That bird has to build the same nest it's been building for thousands of years. I can get along with other groups outside of my particular group. Many species of animals can't do that. So I'm something different. That's right. We can write down information, we can read information, collect that information and save that information for future generations. That's different. That's human potential. So the new cells that are created are called soma cells. And soma cells will acquiesce to the wishes of those new thoughts. Now we're getting to the reasons for brain drain. If they can convince us, based on this new thought that they're creating in us about us, then the new thought says Well, this must be the new instructions from the master. So I'm going to have to shut down the old instructions in favor of the new instruction. So if the old instruction says that I'm dignified, that I'm just as good as you, and if I tried hard enough, I can actually be better than you if you're not performing up to your level. That's my parent cell saying that. But if this new soma cell comes in and says, you just a nigger. You ain't no good. You ain't worth nothing. Your life is not worth what a white life or Mexican life or whatever life is. And they show this to you every day through the movies. They put it in the lyrics and the music. We ain't worth nothing. Gold chain is worth more than you. Money in the pocket is worth more than you. According to the culture that has been established, that has been designed to rearrange the cellular information in us. So the original urge for dignity and for self-respect has been deadened, sublimated, muted out. And the new information is what has taken charge over our people. I'll give you a for instance. You go to the doctor. Doctor does a series of exams and he says, hey, you have 6 months to live. If you believe it, then those new thoughts are going to create new cells in your body that are also going to believe it and are going to do more than believe it. It's going to carry out those wishes. I'm supposed to be dead in 6 months. Yes, you certainly will be. Now, there are people who say, the hell with the doctor. He ain't God. And they outlive the doctor. Because they didn't go for the hype. But the people who believed it, they fell right into the trap. Because those new cells, those powerful thoughts that created those new cells, brought about a new reality for that person. And it's the same thing with the group life. When they train a whole group of people to think in a particular direction, then the cellular life of those people begin to create a new reality for those people. And that is exactly what happened post Jim Crow era for us. They created in us a tendency to just want to be entertained, a tendency in us to not take life seriously, a tendency in us to not want to take care of our children properly. All of these things were traits that we did not possess prior to them feeding us those new and corrupted thoughts. We didn't believe that hype. They said these things about us, and then they had to actually bring it into reality. How are we going to be a lazy people and for 400-something years, 300-something years, free labor in America? How can lazy people do that? People working from what Malcolm called can't see in the morning to can't see at night. But we lazy and shiftless. We weren't lazy and shiftless. Those were thoughts that they put out there so that when the initial job that they had for us was over, they could convince the world that these people were just no good, so that the world's sympathy would not be on our side. And many of us heard it and began to believe it ourselves. And because we began to believe it, it began to shape those new thoughts into new cells that created new activity in us that was unlike the thoughts that were being thought by our ancestors. And most of the thoughts that they sold us were related to low-based ideas about what human life was. They wanted us to concentrate, if you know anything about chakras, if you know anything about chakras, you know you have 7 basic energy circles in you. Now, your enemy is not going to tell you that because that will free you. So we have to tell it to each other. But that base chakra regulates your sexual desires and your desire for security, safety, and all of those other basic things that you need before you can build the higher life. They have designed a science that aims its arrows at that base chakra in an effort to keep that energy situated so that it can't propel upwards to the more lofty levels of human development, the emotional development, and especially the intellectual development. We never reach those heights because they keep us situated as a people based on the information that they constantly feed us as a community through the culture. They keep us on the base level, and they actually create a ceiling of opportunity right there at the base. So most of the music is lustful, sex-based. When I get that feeling, I want some sexual healing. But damn it, you need some intellectual healing. You need some emotional healing. You need some intuitive healing. You need to know how to use your intuition again. To the point where when people come into your meeting, you should be able to pick up right away. Something wrong there. And he looked just like you. But something wrong there. Your intuition should be able to tell you that. Real emotion should be operating in us so that we don't have this high level of divorce rate in our community. What were you looking at when you married her? What were you looking for when you married him? That a year later, you can't stand each other. They trained us not to rise above the base. Now, understand these last words. We're talking about, again, the African American brain drain. So let me give you some schematics on how this brain operates. There is a theory that has been postulated beginning in the mid-60s by a neurologist named Paul MacLean, who gave us a theory called the triune brain. Triune means three-part brain. I don't buy all of his theory, but I believe enough of it to help our situation. I don't believe it's triune, I believe it's quadroon. That's the only real difference I have with him. See, white folks tend to not recognize the value of the pineal gland. And it's the pineal gland that connects you with that cosmos that we spoke about earlier. If you understand its properties, if you understand how to clean it up, and there's a very simple way of cleaning it up, go to bed at night. Go get some sleep. But they've trained our whole people to be up all night long, especially on the weekends. See, that's a part of that scheme. Party hardy on the weekends. Brother getting up at 6 p.m. to start his day. At the club. Just hanging out at the club. So 11 p.m., when his pineal should be rejuvenating. 2 o'clock in the morning, when his psychic abilities should be increasing. He's at the party. Watching people shake their rump and watching strangers interact with each other in what almost looks like sex. With their clothes on. And I don't even know if I can say with their clothes on anymore. Because half of them half dressed. This is a training that they have perpetuated upon us. So that fourth part of the brain does not develop, because that is the part that is going to put us in touch with the necessary cosmic help that we need. But it's coming anyway. All it has to do is reach a few individuals. Doesn't have to reach everybody. And that's always been the way. So Paul MacLean says that the first part of the brain to develop in evolution was the reptilian brain. Now, if you haven't heard this, Google triune brain, Triune brain. It's called the R complex. It's the base brain that sits beneath two other layers of brain, which we'll discuss in a moment. And if you isolate that reptilian brain from the human brain structure and put it next to the brain of any reptile, it's exactly the same. Take the snake, take the iguana, take the turtle, whatever, reptile. Take that brain out of them, put it next to the human being's reptilian brain, that portion, exactly alike. Because it regulates the same mechanisms that the reptile needs in order to do what it was created to do. It was created to be an instinctive creature, not a creature of intellect. There's no thinking going on in the reptile. There's only instinctive behavior, which has as a highlight what is called fight or flight. You heard of that. The fight or flight instinct. Now, that's right, and it's all about self-preservation. If in a millisecond I believe I can beat that thing, then I'm going to fight. But if in a millisecond I think I can't beat it, then I'm going to be in flight. Fight or flight instinct. It's the same instinct that they have bred into the gang life. These people are so sophisticated in their methods for subduing and enslaving the minds of people around this world that they actually have developed schemes for how to keep human life on particular levels of development so that they can't rise above that ceiling. All right. So they take us and they reduce us to these particular brain functions. What's the next level? Above the reptilian brain, you have what is called the mammalian brain, the brain of the mammal. Mammals were next to develop in this evolutionary course. And if you notice, the difference between mammals and reptiles is that most reptiles are born out of eggs, and they are called cold-blooded creatures. But mammals are called warm-blooded creatures, and human beings are mammals also, right? Warm-blooded. Why? Because we are born within the sac. We are born attached to mama. That reptile can be born in an egg, and mama can be all the way down the beach somewhere, unattached. And if you look at the surface picture of reptiles, you know, you can reach into a turtle cage or whatever and take the baby turtle out right in front of his mother. And the mother seems to be unconcerned. Right? Got the same look on her face. And reptiles always look angry. See how they've trained a lot of our youth to be? Get up in the morning and they practice their grill in the mirror before they go to school. They got to leave out looking like they want to kill something. Huh? See, they've trained us for the reptilian level. How many of our children have they been taking without us having any real protest? Why are we like that? They shoot another one and stab another one and shoot another one in his own car. He's stealing the car. We're going to shoot him. And it's his car. Another 12-year-old dead, another 14-year-old dead. And it doesn't seem to really awaken any conscience and concern in us. Why? Because again, for many years they have been practicing this technique of reducing us to reptilian mode. And just as that reptile seemingly does not care, I believe they do, but I believe God put that there as a picture for us to learn from. They created in us that same type of non-sensitivity, non-sentiment about our own. But the mammals love the social life. They love to be with each other. And that's how we were even during slavery. We love to be with each other. But the mammals did not possess the higher strata of brain that is called neocortex. The neocortex is where you have your reasoning power. That third level of brain has in front of it what is called a prefrontal lobe. You may have heard of that. And it is in the prefrontal lobe that moral questions are asked and that rational abilities exist. So your moral and rational mind is in this third part that sits above the mammalian brain. Everyone understanding what I'm saying? And if you're not interested in these kinds of sciences, then you're really not interested in the freedom of your own people. Because this is where we have been enslaved. So the idea then is to kill off your moral and rational thinking ability. For the human being, every single piece of information that enters the brain registers first in the emotions or in the nervous system. I say, man, I'm going to make $500 this weekend, Joe. And they need somebody else to work along with me. You down for making $500 for Saturday and Sunday's work? That hit Joe in the emotional pocket. Joe said, man, I can go see Man of Steel. And maybe take somebody with me. I got a little money in the pocket now. Right? But then another thought enters Joe's mind. How are we going to make that money? You got a lot of banks open on the weekend now too, right? And Joe knows, he knows that the one that's inviting him got a shady past also. So although it hit him emotionally first, the emotions handed it to the rational brain and said, figure out how you're going to do that. Ask him moral questions. What's that about? What do I have to do? Do I have to sign up? We getting paid in check or cash? He's got to ask all these questions to make sure that it is morally sanctioned by his conscience, right? Once he knows that it's legit, then he hands that up to his rational brain. Okay, rational brain, make this happen for me this weekend. I need a babysitter. I need to inform my wife. I need to do this. I need to cancel this engagement. Whatever it is, now the rational mind is engaged once the moral questions are answered. Now, if they can erase in us the ability to think morally and rationally, what's the next step down? The animal life, the mammal life. So we'll be loving each other. We love to socialize. But socialization in and of itself is not the answer to our problem. Say, I love that speaker. Every time he speaks, 70,000 people gather. But 70,000 people is no guarantee of success. We're 70,000 strong because we like to be together, like all mammals do. But it doesn't mean there's any moral and rational activity taking place. So I'd rather have a small group like this, whose brains are turned on, than to be in the midst of 70 or 100,000 people who are just there for a party. Just there to hear somebody else get cussed out. Just there to hear us talk more about the white man, and ain't none of us going to do nothing about it. See, I'd rather be in a small group like this. They say when Jesus came forth and started teaching people, he didn't choose 1,000 people. He said 1 through 12. And I'm going to take you away from the water because you've been in emotionalism a little bit too long. And I'm going to put your feet on solid ground so that you could be fishers of men, minds, people with rational activity. People, when they put their foot down, they can make solid progress forward. And they say it got so good to Jesus that he learned how to walk even on water. That means that his stable emotional content was also able to support him. Most human beings can't do that. Most human beings step on their emotional side and they drown because they got too much sentimentality. Everything becomes an emotional issue. I can't go to the family reunion because of what Aunt Helen said to me last year. What'd she say? She's going to ask me why I got to be so drunk at the family reunion. The hell is Aunt Helen? I drink. I like to drink. All emotional. He missed the whole family reunion because of Aunt Helen. Yeah, take us up all the way out of the family circle. You understand? We got to get away from that over-emotionality thing. That is what has been draining our brains. You see? And if we can just get over that hump, we will be the kind of people on earth that has never been produced before in known history. That's a fact. When we begin to understand that this heart, and this is something that I heard my beloved leader, Imam W.D. Muhammad, in case you didn't know, man of logic and sound reasoning. If he wasn't emotional enough for you, God bless you. But the man taught us well. He said that the heart is the supervisor over this life. But when the heart gets attached to the point of extremes, then the intellect has to come in and save it. I'm going to say that again. Imam W.D. Muhammad, Wallace D. Muhammad, Wallace D. Muhammad, whatever you want to call him, just call him. The son of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He said that the heart, the human heart, is the supervisor over the human life. However, when the heart gets attached to something to the point where it becomes an extreme attachment for the heart, then the intellect has to step in and save it. That's the point we are in right now, my people. Our hearts have gotten attached to too many of the wrong things. Our hearts have gotten attached to pornography. Our hearts have gotten attached to lack of responsibility for our young. Our hearts have gotten attached to too much foolishness coming from the media. Our hearts have gotten attached to lack of trust in ourselves and in our own abilities. We're looking for people outside of ourselves to save us. Looking for the police department to police us. Looking for their minds to tell us what is best for our situation, and we're living it. We've gotten attached to that. And the worst thing that we've gotten attached to, and I got to tell it to you like this, and I know where I am in saying this, but we've gotten attached to an image of God that is so unreal that I'm surprised that people still believe it. I'm surprised that people still believe that the white man is God. And that he looks like the image that you see, not in this church, but in most of the other places that you go to. Many of them now are bringing it down. Now they're taking it down. I've been through the South and I just see the cross and I say, hallelujah. Hallelujah. Just the cross. No dead white men up on the cross. I got to tell it to you like it is because we have a brain drain issue. You're looking at that image for hundreds of years, at least. And they're telling you that that is supposed to save you. And nobody in that part of the world during that part of history looked like that. That's not a Semitic look. But we bought that. And they did that intentionally so that all of our psychic ability, all of our intellectual prowess would be dissipated, would be dissolved, so that we would no longer exist as a thinking people on planet Earth. We'd have to be feelers for the rest of our lives. And if it was not sanctioned by that divine white image, then we couldn't support it. You go into an area and there's nobody who looks like that, we say ain't nothing happening there. And I know them niggas ain't got no money. But they just find one white face, they say there might be some hope there. That might be the money man. But that might be the man that teach us what we really need to know. Don't even trust ourselves. But the tide is turning. And the picture is changing. Yeah, it's changing. And in closing, I would just like to thank the United African Movement and all of the connected movements for maintaining, because this is not easy. Yeah, it's not easy. Every week, Brother Alton Maddox and company have been talking their tongues blue, trying to reach us, trying to inform us. And they are involved in one of the most subtle yet open battles that I've ever witnessed. Yeah, they've had Miss Tawana Brawley resurface in the news. And they're trying their best to paint the picture of Pagones as being the victim. As being the victim. Now, those who were listening heard me. I don't have to scream that one. If they're not listening, it wasn't for them. But we have to become wiser as a people making choices, internal choices, as a people of intellect. We have to become wiser. We have to become more prudent. And we have to understand the principle that says that if it's somebody else today, it can easily be us and our children tomorrow. And God will keep challenging you like that until you get the message. But if you remain on the reptilian level, you'll never get the message because you can keep snatching their babies and they'll keep not paying attention. We have to at least move back to the mammalian level where we cared about each other, where we had sensitivities for each other, where we asked about each other. If we didn't see somebody, the Nation of Islam was good for that. You couldn't be out of somebody's sight in the Nation of Islam for 3 days and somebody was coming to look for you. That's the kind of sensitivity that we need to come back. Say, where's Sister So-and-so at? It's Sister Maddox. You seen her? Yeah, I ain't seen her since last Tuesday. What do you mean you ain't said call her? Go see her. Knock on her door. Where's Brother Maddox at? You seen him? 2 weeks ago. What do you mean 2 weeks ago? See, you got to become wise like that and protect your leadership. So I'm through. Praises be to Allah. Thank you very much for this invitation, and I look to see you again very, very soon as I greet you with peace. Assalamu alaikum. Yes, also I want to make sure that you know that we do have DVDs and CDs on sale here at the table for a very reasonable or nominal fee of lectures that I've done across the country. So if you're interested, especially those of you who have heard me for the first time, in what I've been doing and saying for the past few years now, actually, feel free to see our brother Abdul Latif Amin over here at the round table. And God willing, it'll be something that'll help feed your soul, and you can look at those and have your family participate in listening and looking at the DVDs and the CDs. And trust me when I say that everything on that table is going to suit you well. It's going to be that which will stimulate your mind, stimulate your soul, and help, in terms of my contribution, to helping to bring our people back to their common senses and intelligence. Thank you.
Give it up again for Mom Benjamin. Wow. Didn't I tell you was going to lay it on you? I ain't never lied. Check that language out. Big Chop in the house. Big Chop is in the house. Brownsville's finest is in the house. Boy, we gonna bust them up in the 42nd district. We gonna bust Brownsville and East New York wide open. Inez Barron ain't gonna see it coming. Even if she see it coming, she can't do nothing about it. She can't do nothing about it. The tide is changing. The tide is changing, and I'm rolling with Brownsville's finest. I got the female and the male principal with me. I can't lose. Can't lose. Now, I'll mess with him. See, my big brother, he looking tired. But I don't care. That's what little sisters do. They pick at you, pick at you, pick at you. Right? Yeah. So, I pick at him. Yesterday I was sitting at the table with him and Noah Leader and Julian Harper. Okay. Chilling with them, eating a meal last night.
Wow.
They something else. I'm telling you, get all of them together at one table. I was sitting there, looking at my BlackBerry like I didn't hear a word they were saying, but they something else. I tell y'all right now, New York ain't ready, but you better get ready. I mean, this is the first time black folks is going to be put first. First. Young children looking for jobs. 95% of teenagers unemployed. They got the money. When you don't use that grant money, you know what they do with it? They kick it back to their buddies like Donald Trump and Silverstein. That's your money. Now the question is, why isn't your city council, state assembly, state congressional, and Senate not telling you this information? I don't know. I don't like rumors. I'm just saying, I don't know. And it looks suspicious to me. We're going to change that in Brownsville and East New York. It's going to be the next black mecca of New York City. Believe what I tell you. But my big brother is here. Your big brother. Your brother who put himself on the line. I want you to get on your feet for New York City's next mayor, Mr. Michael Graves.
No justice? No justice? Good. It's good to be here, Otep. To all those that assembled here, and to our brother Imam who just gave us a message. It's kind of, we don't really need another message after that message. Please give that brother a hand. It seems like each time he's been here, I've always had another arrangement, so I've always missed him. I caught him once, and he was just breaking down words. So I really thought that's all he did, other than, when he preaches, But today, when he talked about the human brain, and talked about human conduct and behavior and how outside forces can affect in a positive or negative way you internally, and you develop things and you get rid of that which is good and take on that which is bad. And he broke it down in such a scientific way that I know everybody needs to get at least that tape. All right? Now, if he has other tapes like that, then you need to get those also, because he's talking about a way to make yourself better. And with all we do, we will always want to get better. And those examples, those stimuli, those things outside of us that can just improve us and take us from point A to point B, if it's new to us, we shouldn't be uncomfortable with it, because we're going to always have new things, because that's part of growth and development. So for that brother to come here and lay his heart bare and to teach us what's going on in our minds and why sometimes we might react to each other that way. And I thought it was beautiful, because one thing he said that's true, among other things. He talked about how young people actually get up angry and put on an angry face as a mechanism to survive that day, because they're going to be around some other people with angry faces. And their face got to be just as angry to hold off those other angry faces. And this is why you have an 8 or 12-year-old with a 9mm in their backpack. Because that whole mentality, that whole reptilian structure, as it moves on up and down, it's just a response to things that are literally beyond that young person's control, and they don't understand. That's why it's important to get these tapes, and you can break it down to a young person and let them know there's another way other than, calling each other niggas and bitches and hoes and all this other stuff, because that takes on a life of its own, and now it's out of control. And he's right when he said that there are moguls and there are people that are meet in secret places and define what black folks need to hear. And while they define what we need to hear, they make a decision on what we shouldn't hear, which is just as important. So if they see a Stetsasonic rapping about Africa or Public Enemy talking about freedom and liberation, they decide that's not what they wanted us to hear. But when they hear about men walking in the clubs and everybody know they better hit the floor and all that stay down and lay down and all that stuff and calling each other bitches and hoes, they say that's what you need to hear. And they convince these young men that if you say something positive, it's not going to sell. So they show you these images ad nauseum. So I remember once it was a very rich Japanese family that checked in at a hotel where all the rich folks in Manhattan, one of the ones when the president and all them come in, where they stay. Yeah, something like the Waldorf. And this rich Japanese family, when they came into the lobby, they saw 4 young black men walking in their direction, and they started screaming. And all the plainclothes cops grabbed the young men right away, threw them down, put the cuffs on them, and they said, well, these young men, they were trying to rob you, right? And they said, well, yeah. And they said, well, what did they do? And the Japanese family said, well, they was coming at us, but we know it from the movies what they were going to do. So when you make a movie and you put an image out there, that image doesn't die. So it's important for that actor, that image is alive, and it goes all over the world. Consequently, those people who never know you, never seen you, they have a mindset as to what you are about. So I've talked to young people who now say, well, they can't look at the Cosbys. And they say, well, I can't look at that because that ain't real. But they can look at somebody slinging dope. They can look at somebody, a young person carrying a gun and shooting people, laying them down, wetting them like they like to say, I'm gonna wet that nigga. I'm gonna lump him up, I'm gonna wet that nigga. That kind of stuff, fake nigga and all of that stuff, that's what they identify with. But the Cosbys, because the children were so clean cut and there was an emphasis on education in the family, obviously when you have one parent that's a lawyer and one parent that's a doctor, education is going to be prioritized. They've been so dumbed down and trained to say, no, that's impossible. That's just not true. As if a black lawyer and a black doctor can't get together and form a family. So, and the bad thing about it, we have the longest history of scholarship in the world. Let me say it again. We have the longest history of scholarship in the world. Longer than anything in Europe, because they just got out of the caves. Longer than even China, who would be second only to us. Longer than India, they would be second to us. We have the longest history of scholarship. We gave math, science, engineering, and all those things, the written word. We gave that to the entire world. All that, astronomy, astrology, just the science of the stars, all of that. The universe, gave that to the world. So it's very difficult to see how we've gone from a mentality that built the pyramids to now the projects, where we identify with urinating in elevators, jacking people up, slinging dope in plain sight. Children can't even walk by and play because bullets are being sprayed all over the place. So we have to have a new mindset. Even when, I remember in the days of the Dinkins administration, and then we weren't 100 blacks in law enforcement. Most of us were guardians. And in the Grand Council of Guardians, we had a meeting with David Dinkins. This is while he was mayor. This was during his re-election campaign. And we asked him, would he give Queensbridge projects back to the Nation of Islam, who was doing the security there. Now, if you remember, prior to the Nation of Islam working that area, dope was everywhere. Gunfire, everywhere. Children couldn't even come outside. It was just spraying everybody. Everybody was getting it, dope all over the place. It was so bad, and Queensbridge is long, a lot of buildings. I don't know how many, but it's a lot. They brought in the Nation of Islam. It's almost like those brothers waved the magic wand.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I don't know what kind of agreements they struck with the drug dealers, but it seemed like out of nowhere, people was able to come outside and play. Those playground areas, children were back there. Grandmothers and mothers had their children out there playing. It was clean. People ain't have to worry about rounds whizzing all over their head. It was like magic. And you was like, wow, they did something that the police department couldn't do. They cleaned up Queensbridge. And I was like, man, what did these brothers do? I was wondering that. And I said, well, when you see the brothers, ain't none of them carrying guns. I mean, they just walk around and they greet each other and they show a strength in their unity. But they talk to these young people who want to, shoot everything in sight. And suddenly, the dope is gone. And this went on for a few years. And then, out of nowhere, Dinkins decided to cancel the contract with the Nation of Islam. So we asked about it because we love our people. And we said, wait. This situation went from bad to good. Now it went back to bad under a black mayor who said he loves children. So we said, well, when we meet with Dinkins, because he wants us to endorse him and work with him for his re-election, we, in good conscience, we got to ask him about that. So we sat in the meeting, and I chaired the meeting from the law enforcement. It was just us and Dinkins. It was Dinkins, Bill Lynch, and all of us. And what I'm saying is on tape, so I'm telling you the truth. Now, in that meeting, we asked Dinkins straight up. We said, what happened to the Nation of Islam's contract in Queensbridge housing? And he said, well, they had to go. So we said, why? He said, well, there's some people that wanted them out. So I said, who would want them out? I said, the Nation of Islam? I said, every time you're around them, brothers, it's just peace. If you was in a building, hypothetically, if you was in a building and everybody in that building from the Nation of Islam, you literally wouldn't have to lock your door. I'm just saying that's how they get down. If you was in a building with everybody in the Nation of Islam except you would not have to lock your door. That's just how they are. So we asked Dinkins, and he said they had to go. And when we asked him why, you know what he said? The Jewish community said that they got to go. I said, okay. I said to David Dinkins, and these are my words. I said, David Dinkins, I said, excuse me, Mr. Mayor. I said, I could respect that. How many Jewish people live in Queensbridge? Because if the majority say they got to go, then they got to go. I could understand that. I said, how many Jewish people live in Queensbridge? And he said, well, that really doesn't matter. I said, wait, brother. I said, we asked him, I said, we've been talking numbers all night. Let's stay with numbers. I said, how many Jewish people live in Queensbridge? and he wouldn't say anything. So you know how when you in a meeting and when it get quiet, it sounds like it's forever? Ain't nobody saying nothing, and we looking at each other. Lynch gets frustrated. And if you know, Lynch was more than just a regular deputy mayor. That was the guy, Bill Lynch was the guy who was in charge of all labor. He's the guy that gets you all your money and got all the contacts with all the white folks in Wall Street and everything. That's Bill Lynch. So he's more than just a deputy mayor. Now, Bill Lynch gets mad because David Dinkins couldn't answer the question. And we all waiting for an answer. It's about 8 of us. And he finally, Lynch says, look, you know, there's no Jews in Queensbridge. I said, I know that. I wanted you to say it. I said, I know that. I said, so how does a mayor who said he loves black children, called himself the education mayor, said he loves black children? I said, these children could not come outside their house. I said they were taking their life in their hands trying to get to school every day. I said, and now they went from a bad situation to a great situation given, you know, the conditions. I said, and you are a part of taking it back to where it was before? And you say you love our people and you love our children? Because David Dinkins during that time, anytime he got on black radio, he ain't promised black folks nothing, but he always talked about loving black children. So I said, well, you say you love black children. How could you do that? You know what he had the nerve to say to us? Damn it, just get me back in. I said, wait, don't disrespect us. I said, who the hell you think you talking to? That's what I'm telling you what I said to Dinkins. We were all working then. This was in 93. Said, who the hell you think you talking to? You don't talk to us and hit your fist on no damn desk. Who the hell you think you talking to?
That's right.
You said, man, you better talk to us like you talking to a Jew. This is what I told him. I said, the same way you go to Eastern Parkway and you put on a yarmulke and you start doing this, same way you start doing that, will you do that around us? I said, we want the same treatment that you give them. I said, the same way after all that, you know, the Grand Revy hand you $1. I mean, that's what you get after you sit down with the Grand Revy. A crisp $1 bill. And say, all right, go ahead back home, boy. Get back in your car and go back home. That's what so we told him we want that same respect. Said, you don't talk to us like that. Damn it, just get me back in. I said, we better off without you. I said, it ain't no difference with you. You ain't giving us nothing. I said, you're just an image. I said, you got a good image. You got a good, clean image. But you have done nothing of substance for our people. And then you have the nerve when we ask you something so easy. I said, there's projects all over. I said, there's black schools and hospitals. I said, and you're not doing anything for black folks at all. And we asking you to put the Nation of Islam back in there. Not that we love the Nation of Islam, which we do, but not because we love the Nation of Islam, because we love what they did. That's why. I said, they made that area better, cleaner, and livable. I said, and for you, because Jews say no, they can't make money, they can't get a part of a city contract. I said, black folks, the tax base, we represent at least a minimum of 30% of the city. I said, we paying taxes. I said, our money going to all these various funds that go to Wall Street and they play with the money and invest in all these other things. And money ends up in Israel and South Africa at that time that was still apartheid. You know, I'm just saying all these things. And so, yeah, that's true. So I said, consequently, we should not have to apologize for the Nation of Islam getting any contract because you ain't really giving them nothing. Ain't none of them getting rich off it. I said, but we should not have to apologize for that. And I said, why should you, the most powerful mayor in the country, have to apologize for giving the Nation of Islam a contract for Queensbridge when you're giving billions of dollars to white folks? You know, and so we got so heated over that we said, well, we ain't endorsing you. Over that, none of our members were in the Nation of Islam, none. But we took a principled position. I said, we're not going to endorse you. And I said, look, if any of you individual presidents and the guardians want to do something outside the realm of the Grand Council of Guardians, do it. You want a photo out with him, or y'all take pictures with him and Bill Lynch. I said, but we're not going to endorse this man. Oh, for that reason. So that's why we didn't endorse David Dinkins. It wasn't any slight on us because we went in there, we wanted a building. But we got someone cinched over to his position with the Nation of Islam that we ain't even pushed us. We wanted one building for us, just to do some community things and that kind of stuff. Since they have buildings, and he was at that time giving away so much to Williamsburg, we just gave the Navy Yards and all those buildings to the Hasidim, you know, the Lubavitches. We feel, well, give us a building, you know, we'll work for you, give us a building. He didn't do it, so in any event, that's why we didn't endorse him, and he in turn lost to Giuliani, even though you can make the argument the election was stolen. But in any event, he didn't deserve another chance because he consistently across the board, he's socially wired just to serve white folks. It's unfortunate. To this day, with all the millions of dollars that David Dinkins has, he still is wired to serve white folks. And that's awful. So I'm proud to be a part of a slate where all of us are going to work for you. And since the brother, I really thought, brother, that you should have done some Q&A instead of ending the election, because I think that there was people that need to ask you some questions. Okay, so that's good, because as thorough as he was, it's still, I'm sure, some lingering questions. So I'll just say to you very quickly that we have a slate for the ages. Our people have picked wisely. We have Sister Anna Marie right here that's running for borough president. Stand up, sister. And she's going to make an excellent borough president. We have Sister Keisha that's going to represent East New York and Brownsville. Anybody else here? Well, we have Michael Lloyd that's running for public advocate. We have Dr. Gilbo, who's representing Queens in the city council. Yes, sir. And we have our brother Tyrone here that's running for the city council. Anybody else? Oh, and Fred, is Fred here? I saw him here earlier. And we have Fred Dean that's running for controller, city controller. So we still need people to really push the petition process. We only have a short window because we developed this late, but it's better late than never. So we're going to develop and really push these petitions. After the petitions, you'll see us on our grind. All the people that are running, we'll crisscross this city and we'll meet and greet all of our people and show them there's a better way. We'll show them that clean glass, as I said yesterday on Community Cop. All we got to do is put the clean glass up to the muddy water, and we're sure, you know, and this is what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us. You ain't got to argue. Just put the clean glass next to the muddy water and let our people decide. So we want to get in that position. And so since we understand that the petition process is important, I really believe at this time we need to pick our brother's brain because he has a lot to give and he's still here. And the tapes are right here on this table, by the way, in case you don't know. They're right here on this round table. So let's have some Q&A from our brother Imam.
Yes, question, please.
Right. My name is Anna Maria Thomas, and you mentioned about our children needing to be trained or nurtured, I should say. As my youngster said, we're not trained like animals, and I couldn't think of a better word, but I feel nurtured. If we can get out my sisters to nurture their children, do you think that would be get back to the way in which we should nurture our children, that will be a headway towards changing this lack of intelligence in us?
Excellent question. Absolutely. Sometimes I think we just need to do some radical things. Public schools, on the most part, do not work for us. And if I had it my way, everyone with the space to do so would initiate homeschooling. And I would suggest that homeschooling actually begin let me put it this way. The parent is the first instructor. Yeah. No, listen to the language. Not teacher. I'm going to tell you what the difference is. The parent is the first instructor. Remember what I said about words that begin with IN? All right. So an instructor is one who provides internal structure. And the internal life of the person involves those things that you cannot touch with your hands. Right? It involves the emotional development, involves their intellectual development. So the parent is the primary one responsible for instituting that process in the mind of that child. If you allow other people, especially strangers, to begin that process in your child, especially strangers who are secretly antagonistic towards you, your development, and your success, then you're going to have exactly what you have now. A bunch of our children running around, not knowing who they are, not knowing what this existence really entails, and not making any real contribution towards the progress of the people as a whole. So we need to begin the process by establishing more home schools among us. You'll notice that other people who are successful at homeschooling have children who actually supersede others. You can just sit and watch Jeopardy and learn that. You know, just watch the children on Jeopardy who say, I've been homeschooled. You know, my 4 youngest children began as homeschooled children, and the schools don't know what to do with them. They don't know what to do with them. So look at how many of us have that kind of time on our hands. Some of us ain't working. Some of us are just lingering, watching soap operas. But all this space that you can actually write off as a business expense. So we need to put our heads together and do those things that are most practical for the people. But we can't do it unless we understand the seriousness of what it is that's in front of us. And the minds of our children are the most serious of topics that we're going to have to wrestle with in these next few years. Because all that we achieve, when Big Mike becomes mayor, and all the rest of the people come into their positions, it's going to be a temporary fix if we don't have generations in front of us to inherit it that are properly inclined towards taking it over. and advancing it. So that's what I would suggest. Now, let me just explain the difference between a teacher and an instructor. The instructor establishes the internal values related to the child's spirit, what kind of spirit this child is going to have. You know, if you put the wrong people in charge of your children, they can depress your children from day one. We wonder why our children go into the classrooms and think that it's natural to just sit in the back of the class. Don't want to be asked any questions. All of these things are a result of how we are nurtured or not nurtured, in terms of the term that you use, excellent term, right? And we have to turn that pitiful picture around by ourselves paying more attention to their internal development. If we allow our televisions at home to become the babysitters, and allow that child to get his and her first introduction to the world from media moguls and the information that they would like for us to be a part of or participate in, then we are fighting a losing battle. We have to shut that television down. If you have to clip the cord, I clipped the cord on mine when my children were young. I tell them not to look at it, not to look at certain things, and I come home and I find out that they're looking at those things. I don't remove the television, I just clip the cord. I let them sit there with a television that says nothing to them. So they had to learn how to talk to each other because they had nothing else to do. Right? And, you know, today they're some of the most well-balanced children that I know of. And I'm not saying it because they're mine, I'm saying it because it's right. And those of you who know my children, it's true. So homeschooling and paying attention to them in those initial years makes a difference. Now, the teacher's job, see, teach and touch are related. And I don't mean this, you know I don't mean this in any perverted way. Unless you're talking about the public school system. We ain't talking about the public school system. We're talking about the true meaning for teacher. A teacher is supposed to put your child's mind in touch with the outer world. The instructor is supposed to lay down the foundation upon which you can build internal values. And your child is supposed to enter school, 4 years old, 5 years old, 6 years old, with that internal structure in place and developing. So that when the teacher begins to put that child's five senses in touch with these colors, this background, this experience, this particular geography, this place, that touching of the outer environment will register in the internal life of that student, and they will find a consistency. See, now if the parent has done a good job and is doing a good job, then if the child finds something in the environment that is not consistent with that internal structure, then that's the issue. Those are the issues that we're going to have to deal with. See, because if you tell me that Johnny has two daddies, next question. But I don't find that in nature. And it's not a personal choice lifestyle thing for me. It's what supports the nature. Yes, ma'am.
In the animal kingdom, all of the animals are same-sex attracted. Are you aware of that?
I'm aware of a lot of that idea, the idea that is espoused, but what is the ultimate result?
The only reason I bring that up is because to demonize us as a people, as black people, and not being able to achieve. Every one of us have family members who we cannot demonize like that.
You're absolutely right. Let me
I think
do
when you
this.
speak of a child who is growing up, and you need to nurture them. Anytime I see a youngster, and I've taught for 39 years, and I've seen many youngsters who may be same-sex attracted, my job is not to in any way demonize them, but to help them to and nurture them regardless.
Yes, ma'am. I am in no way demonizing any of our children. Let me explain it this way.
Call it what it is.
I'm a nature man. I'm what Nat King Cole called nature boy. Now, my point is this. It's not the mind that's attractive. It's the biology. See, listen to what I told you earlier. The biology has its own conscience. Clocked into this flesh is the nature to reproduce itself in order to keep itself here safe and preserved. That's the nature of all flesh. So the biology itself has an attraction to flesh, and it does not differentiate whether that flesh is same sex, different sex, but it's the mind. It's what is developing as a consciousness that makes the intelligent determination as to which ones among these flesh creatures is the most suitable for keeping my species here into the future. So again, this is not a value systems question. This is a question that I am positing as that which has the full support of the best that human nature has to produce. And the best that human nature has to produce is this intellect right here that is going to be responsible. And listen, some things just, I mean, listen, we can agree to disagree without being disagreeable. So I'm not even going to spend a whole lot of time on that subject because that's not the main reason I'm here. And I'm not here to disrespect anyone's lifestyle. Listen, all of us in our families and elsewhere, we have people who are attracted to same-sex relations. I was just with a cousin of mine at a concert, and that's what she does. That's what she says she is. I got total respect for that. I'll hug her and kiss her like I hug all the rest of my family. That's not an issue. It's not an issue about hating. It's an issue about doing that which is in the best interest of the future mobilization and progress of the people. So thank you for that concern. Yes.
So you're saying now we're dealing with emotions and intellect, right?
Yes, sir.
So one must be superior to the other, that's correct?
They work together. We don't want to call one superior and one inferior.
Okay, yeah, but still, what I'm trying to say,
They are
you
different
spoke
levels,
about the biological.
corresponding levels.
The body has a craving.
Has to say.
Whereas the mental doesn't have a craving. See what I'm saying?
No, that's not true.
You mean the mind?
Every aspect of the human nature has its own distinct appetite.
The physical, yes, sir.
Right? The body has its physical appetite, but the mind also has an appetite for knowledge. Right. Yeah, it's a different level of appetite. But nevertheless, any part of creation that seeks to be here, stay here, and perpetuate itself, it does so because of its appetite. It has a created appetite. So we'll leave that right there. Do we have any other questions or concerns? And now let me point this out while we have a moment, because here is where we're going to have to learn to exercise the kind of wisdom that it's going to take for us to move forward as a people. I don't involve myself in sessions that are designed to bring people down, to make people feel bad, to make people feel as though what they've been doing all of their lives is wrong. I'm not here for moral condemnation or to say that I'm a Muslim, so I'm right, and you're a Christian, so you're wrong, or he's a Jew, so he shouldn't even be in here, or whatever the case is. I don't operate like that. Because I understand that at all times there's going to be much more that we have in common than we have not in common. And I also understand that people develop based on their own belief systems, and we have to have respect and tolerance and patience with ourselves and other people, especially our family members. We don't want to go home antagonistic. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. We don't want to go on antagonistic. We don't want to go on and be seen as troublemakers, but see, that's a part of that lower thing in us. See, what's more important to me is not that you be same-sex attracted, What's more important to me is that you be attracted to intelligence. There are some things that will actually take care of themselves if you would learn to direct your attention to the right aspects of your own development. And you know how they used to say, you got how many fingers pointing that way? And 3 pointing at you and 1 pointing up to God, right? So it's you have to look at. See, a lot of times what we see in ourselves is so painful that we begin to enjoy watching other people in pain. You know the phrase, misery loves company? So we do it to divert the attention from where it should be, and that is on our own self-development. So what I'm saying to you is this. I told you that every single thing that enters into your 5 sense body first enters as an emotional prompt in you. An emotional prompt. Whether it's making some money, whether it's meeting somebody new, everything that enters, as soon as you go out and you see something new, it registers in you emotionally, which means that it is actually being taken in by your nervous system. That's what your emotions are, your central nervous system. And if it registers incorrectly on your emotional system, then your mind will begin to reject it. That emotional system, as a symbol, is given to us as water. You know how all biological life comes out of water? All psychological life comes out of emotions. So if I can condition your emotions, if I can condition you to feel a certain way when you see or hear a certain thing, then that's the same as me being able to pollute your water. That's the same as me being able to take your water from its river flowing nature and create a stagnant body in you that would just become a cesspool. I'm talking about you emotionally now. So when you hear things and see things, we need to practice what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us. He said, think 5 times before you say something. Think 5 times before you act. And he said that perhaps you will be thinking and acting correctly. What was he pointing to when he said think 5 times? Use your 5 senses. Don't be quick. Don't be a knee-jerk reactionary. You heard of that, right? You go to the doctor, he takes that little rubber mallet and he hits your knee, and it kicks out every time, right? Kicks out every time. That's why they call you Negro. Because they know as a people, it's a satire. They know as a people, we have not learned to grow above the knee-jerk reactionary state. They know that if they do something on Saturday, that by Sunday, you're going to be reacting in the streets a certain way. And they know exactly how much time it takes for you to get stuff off your chest. And you'll be out there hooping and hollering, and by that time next year, you would have forgotten all about what happened. They know that. So they know that we are knee-jerk reactionaries. That's why they got us calling our women shorties. That's why they gave you Webster on television. And Arnold, who couldn't grow. And George Jefferson, who was a short man. They're giving you this, they're depicting us like this in the public because they're trying to tell each other and keep the symbolism among themselves and their children that, see, these black folks, they'll never grow up. Because they will always react without thinking. And for as long as we react without thinking, morally and rationally, and applying the intellect to the situation, we're going to stay stuck in the same place, in the same condition. So I'm saying that just as a pull-up to all of us. Don't concentrate so much on what makes you feel good. I'm going to look good. If I say this, I'm going to look good. He's going to look bad. And I'm going to be able to go home and say, you make sure you get that video. And you watch at the end. Speed it up to, 1 hour, 36 minutes in. And you're going to hear me tell that sister off. You're going to hear me tell that little boy off. You're going to hear, why? Was Was that the, no, it's not about taking positions or not taking positions. You have sessions for that. What you have to do is this. This is not, no, I spoke about straddling the fence when I first got up here.
Also, you mentioned something when it came to black boys, you know, why do they do certain things? And just like, for instance, today, Obama, he was talking about, he mentioned about Trayvon, and he went through the motions, and then when it came to the gay rights, he said, I will not tolerate that at all. And he knows exactly how he feels about that. How come we get nervous? We get nervous when he talks about issues about, for instance, there's another thing where, the girl, they was held in the house for a long time, and they tore down the house. Everybody's upset about that, but they say the same folks upset about the house. I mean, the girl being, you know, raped in the house for all these years. When it comes to Tawana, they have no conscience at all, at all.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So, like, when you talk about our boys and you get upset about the things they say, as soon as it comes to talk about it, taking a gay position, all of a sudden we got to be, well, why can't we all get along? Why can't we take a strong position and be what we're supposed to be? Why we always got to always waver? Why we get nervous?
I believe that you are misreading what I'm saying.
No, I'm not misreading.
If you are implying, hold on.
I'm not implying. I understand exactly what you're
Well, then let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. And I respect that because I'm not gonna say we know each other, but we respect the intelligence of each other. The point is, see, everything doesn't have to be an overly emotional issue for it to be discussed.
I'm not getting emotional. I'm just talking about.
I'm not accusing you of being overly emotional. All I'm saying is this. First of all, there are very few situations that make me nervous when it comes to knowledge and sharing information. But I do understand this. In order for us to walk out with the benefit of the information, we have to learn to sublimate that overly emotional side in favor of the side that will help us to listen, argue with some rationale.
What's your point? What's your point now? What are you saying is the same?
Well, if you're not hearing a point in what I'm saying,
No, I understand you clear. Trust me, I understand. It's not, I'm not disrespecting you, but you make it seem as though I'm emotional. Listen, trust me, I know exactly what you say before you say it. Well, I understand you.
listen, if that's true, then, that's the end of my discussion.
No,
with you.
but
If you know what I'm saying before I say it, and at no point have I said you.
Right, but I'm saying, I'm trying to make a point, you're saying that, well, why do we always have to make it seem as though we have to win? Sometimes we want to win. Sometimes our nature requires us to win.
I'm not understanding what you're saying.
Well, use your intellect.
Thank you, brother. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Mic over there.
Yeah, well, would you come to the mic, please?
Mic there's a lot.
Yeah, I have a question. Like, I love science.
Yes.
And you just talked about we have 5 senses. Is it possible that we can go to another level besides 5 senses?
Absolutely. In fact, that's why I phrased it as 5 basic senses. 5 basic senses. It was Aristotle who established this whole idea of 5 senses, and he was off because when you steal information, you don't get the whole thing. Yeah. But there are 5 basic senses, and what I'm suggesting is that we start with those 5. In fact, I think the last time I was here, we talked about the 5 on the abstract level also. We were talking about why they dubbed us as a people as 3/5 of a man, because they were using that 5 sense concept to say that we exist on the abstract level on those same corresponding sense levels. Meaning what? Just like we can see physically, there's also the abstract thing called insight, right? Just like we can hear physically, there's the abstract concept of understanding. They call it understanding because the ears stand under the brain. All right? And when you understand someone, what do you say? I hear you. I hear you, right? So that's understanding. Smell on the abstract level is discretion. No, pardon me, I'm sorry, intuition. Intuition. Taste on the abstract level, discretion. Touch on the abstract level, feelings, sensitivity. So when they called us 3/5 of a man, it means that they robbed us of 2 of those discretionary senses on the abstract level, insight and understanding. Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, sir. Please.
I'm sorry I came late, I was at the funeral. It's funny, I was just listening. I have asked majority of people about Tawana Brawley and, you know, this and how we're going forward. And a lot of people tend to say, oh, she did it. So I brought out the tape, The Untold Story. And they even watched that and still was asking questions. Oh, but that happened a long time ago, so Amos used to always say you gotta look in the newspapers and find these little small articles. 12 joint molestation suit versus Yeshiva U. A dozen former Yeshiva University high school students have joined a bombshell $380 million lawsuit claiming they were molested by staff. An attorney for the plaintiff Tuesday. A number of alleged victims in the suit against the prestigious Manhattan school now stands at 31, up from the initial 19, said the attorney. Former students in the initial claim filed last month that officials covered up decades of sexual abuse by Rabbi George Finkelstein, the former school principal, and Rabbi Macy Gordon, a former Judeo student teacher. The accusers come from all over the country, and at least one of them was abused in the early 1970s. Newham said attorneys for Yeshiva University asked the court to dismiss the suit because the allegations occurred between 42 and 25 years ago. In all candor, the suit is a very old case, defense attorney Karen Blankster told Manhattan federal judge. This is from, just so to say that I did not make it up or put any words to it, out of today's Daily News.
Wow.
They are still going forward.
Yeah.
So why would people say these things about Sister Tawana?
Yeah, because she's black.
You didn't see nobody criticize them and their character or this and that.
No.
And I figured I would save this. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I believe that is all of the time that we were given for questions.
I just want to make a
Yes, sir.
statement. You are so true in talking about the symbols that they use to change our minds. And the reptilian, Geico,
Yeah, it's all around.
they have their juice with the Geico symbol. So yes, that is so true.
Yes. Let us give Big Mike another round of applause. This is the first time that I've had a chance to hear him at length. And we have a brilliant intellect among us. We have a chance to support leadership that is sober for a change. And we need to go forth, strategize, get beyond just the talk and learn to walk the walk and find out how they want us to support them, where they want us to support them, when they want us to support them. And we need to really, really be about it and try our best to garner the energy of the younger ones among us. But if they see a lot of confusion, if they see a lot of disarray, and a lot of the other things that they have distanced themselves from us because of in the first place, then that's not going to happen. We need to start from a central point. And New York is a peculiar animal, as you know. But much progress can be made here because of the numbers. And if we could organize ourselves and use the social media properly, appropriately, then there's a lot of progress to be made in New York for the good of the majority of people who live here. So thank you again for the invitation.
Give him another hand. It goes without saying, this brother's brilliant. And you know, there's a place where we have to celebrate our brilliance. You know, if they tell a story, brilliance is something so foreign to us that once in a while we got a Dr. King or a Malcolm or somebody like, it's almost like it's happenstance that it happens. But you know, we got brilliance all over. You know, y'all making brilliant babies in elevators in the back of cars, and you know. So I'm just saying, we got a brilliant brother among us, and don't for a second think because he's soft-spoken that the message is any less impactful. You know, sometimes we get used to people screaming that when somebody's talking cool, calm, and calculated, that somehow you lose the message. But the brother is strong. You know, the brother is strong. And I tell you the truth, I'm Pentecostal, and I'm trying to think if I've never seen a weak Muslim. I'm just telling you the truth. It's the truth. I'm just telling you the truth. I don't know what they do, but they doing something right. I'm just telling you the truth because they just publicly, I'll just be clear. Publicly, I just don't see foolishness around Muslims. You know, now if they foolish, then they save it for behind closed doors. Because every time I see a Muslim in public, they're always upright in principle and disciplined. And I mean, it might be a variance with respect to their information base, because don't expect every Muslim to be like this brother right here in terms of information. But in terms of the way they comport themselves, men and women, I'm just saying it's something to look up to. It really is. And like we getting ready to get out here in a minute, just wanted to tell you that meeting, I forgot to tell you, that meeting we had with David Dinkins was at Gracie Mansion. And another important point that I forgot to tell you is that he had the temerity to say to us that one of the reasons why he canceled the contract on the Nation of Islam was that they were proselytizing. Y'all know what proselytizing is? He claimed that when these brothers get around you, they start telling you about the goodness of God, and at some point, they're trying to turn you into a Muslim. And he said that they were selling the final call. So I said, well, I tell you what, here's what, Mr. Mayor. I said, Mr. Mayor, we will guarantee you that you will not see no final calls in Queensbridge houses. That while they on duty, while they working, they won't sell no papers. They won't sell no bean pies if you don't want them to. We'll get rid of all that. Just let those brothers work there, and he still wouldn't do it. And it showed that he was not independent because he couldn't make that call. Here you are the mayor, and you can't make that call. You don't need to be mayor, right? So I want to bring forth somebody that once they get in their position, you're going to see a difference in East New York and Brownsville. I'm telling you what I know, not what I think. And this person is no nonsense. Everything is straightforward and direct. At this time, I just want to bring you'll get the final words, and she'll send us on our way, our sister Keisha Forrest, the next councilwoman from East New York and Brownsville.
All right, big bro. Let me just say something real quick. I need to get this out of the way first, and then I'm just going to briefly tell you what it's about, what I'm about. Every week you come here, especially those who were just coming here for the first time, I want to thank you for coming through those doors. This is where you get a real, legal, historical, and political education that you are not going to get anywhere else on the planet. When you came through the doors, we didn't ask for one red cent. Envelopes was passed around. You put whatever you want in the envelope. But we do need funds to keep this going. Because you got to not think about yourselves. You got to think about those coming after you. So if you can do some more, give us some more. See, is Joyce still here? Okay. You can see Sister Maddox in the back. Pick up one of those Freedom Party t-shirts. When you wear this shirt, let me tell you something. This is power. You know how many people stop me on the street? Where you get that shirt from? What's that? It's power. And just think back in your history. When you seen the Black Panthers moving, you was like, what is that? Like Big Mike said, when you seen the Nation of Islam moving, you said, what is that? It's power, image, symbols. Imam Bilal just got finished telling you that. Now, how I speak to you all, I cannot speak in a room full of diplomats in the same tone, but I can get the same results. It's how you articulate it. I want you to understand something clearly. We have an ultimate power in our hands. Your buying dollar. Now ask yourselves, you've seen what happened with Trayvon Martin. You're watching what's going on with Tawana Brawley. You were here for Sean Bell, Amadou Diallo, Oscar Graham, Omar Edwards, Abner Louima, Chanel Davis. You all were here. You all were here. Lynching hasn't changed. Just the format. You have buying power. Not one preacher, reverend, congressperson, councilperson, assembly person, district manager, mayor, and nobody else told you, stop shopping. Stop shopping. It's simple. It's simple. Could you imagine? Now let's follow what they're putting out to us. The dollar is weak. Now, could you imagine $1 trillion being spent by us? We stop for 30 days? You want to stop police brutality? You want to be able to buy your home outright with grant money that's rightfully yours, that they're not telling you about. And I told you in the beginning why they're not telling you that. Why you can't have your own business with free grant money that belongs to you. You pay the most taxes. You're being maneuvered into a game. I've worked 24 years in the apparel and shoe industries. Trust my word. Everything in this world is geared toward your shopping dollars. Specifically, ages 12 to 24. Now, always look to buy black first. Always look to buy black first. Now, in the back, I think Sister Maddox got some no justice, no shopping t-shirts. I like to look good. I do. I got to be fly about mine. But I go black first. See? And spend less money. Each of y'all got one of my cards tonight. I handed out. I got them free from white folks. Now how you do that? Y'all better watch some pimps. See how to operate this thing. Some people get sedity. I ain't hanging around with them folk. No, throw me in the lion's den. Shoes on my feet right now. $130 retail. Free from white folks. I told y'all several months about how to do that, but I bet you nobody did it. Free. Free. This is what I'm bringing to Brownsville and East New York. I'm going to tell you how to get what's rightfully yours and rule over it. Stop and frisk illegal ones. That's big business for y'all. You know you can bankrupt this city. 800,000 of y'all stop and frisk. Y'all should be crowding John Lew's office, filing notice of claims up in there. Maddox come in here and teach you your Fourth Amendment right. You gotta hold it, apply it, then teach somebody else. On a radio show this past Sunday, Sister Robin's here, she can vouch for what I'm telling y'all. I spoke about this. She was typing quotes that I was making from the show. Brownsville went crazy. Over 5,000 hits in 24 hours. Because I'm telling the truth.
It was before the sun came up. You did it Sunday night, Monday morning before the sun came up. 5,000.
Oh, how you articulate it. Sister Maddox, I said, I want to teach a class. First summer. She said, okay. Now, I've watched the young ladies. I'm a very good observer. How to operate with them. I said, give me one chance, and they'll be satisfied forever. It was 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, midnight. All she saw was them running to the bathroom. I got to get back to Miss Keisha Clapp. Veronica was there. We held court for 5 hours. Y'all can't get these babies to pay attention for 2 minutes. It's all in how you articulate it to them. So when Imam Bilal was saying you have to strategize with the people you're in front of. Now, I have homosexual family members. I love them to death. I go to bat for them for real. Mess with my cousin and see what happens. They don't play no nonsense in front of me. They know I'm not about that. It's a matter of respect. So now when I'm around other folks, I can say some other things without crushing somebody's feelings. But say what I say in a way that they respect me and honor me. That's how I'm going to pimp New York City to get what's rightfully belonging to Brownsville and East New York, Brooklyn. Now, my strategy is very easy. What it is, I can't tell y'all. Can't tell you everything. You know, some of y'all tell too much. It's just like, for example, I got Sister Veronica, my daughter, and Adrian. All was in the group, in the classroom, at the retreat. If you ask them what we talk about, they ain't going to tell y'all nothing. Go ahead, try it. Ask her, Bruce. I ain't even going to turn around. Ask her, Bruce. We have a code of ethics. That's what we must apply first. We got to have a code of ethics with one another. As I said before, if you in the fight, I'm in the fight. We got to have the same philosophy with one another. Once we grasp that, we all right. We all right. See, it don't matter that they found over 100 skeletal remains of black boys under a reformatory in Florida. And they still counting. The numbers are still going. Now, I reported about this several months ago. How many white folks got up and spoke out against them? Bob Philbin, mayor of San Diego. I think they got the victim number 13. How many white folks got up and spoke out against him? Where's the code of ethics when it comes to Tawana Broly and Sister Diallo? We gotta have a code of ethics. I might kick it with you. This brother, he ain't no good. Outside of here, that's my brother. See? You gotta have the same philosophy. We can win that way. We will win that way. Walk tall with your Freedom Party shirts on. I mean, make sure your posture is right. I was at a comedy club. I think I told Chop this yesterday. My cousin, she's the founder of My Sister's Keeper. And she has different fundraisers. And this one was a comedy show. And the comedian was going through the crowd and making jokes and cracking on people. And I was just standing there laughing. Came to me, he was like, whoa, not effing with you. So I started laughing. He said, no, for real. He said, there's something about you that tells me I better come correct. He said, of all the women in here, you're the only one with locks. So that automatically tells me you go against the system. It's all in your approach. Everybody was getting clowned on. They went right on past me. See? Because I don't move by myself. I take all y'all with me. I take Harriet Tubman with me. My mother was a bad sister, boy. My grandmother would cut you in a minute. My Aunt Bertha will cut you twice. I got all of that DNA in me. Right? So I can walk the streets 2 o'clock in the morning. And I don't have no worries. Because the expression is, you better know better. Now, I want y'all to sign those petitions in the back on the way out for Brother Big Mike Graves, for the mayor, the city of New York. As you're leaving, I want you to sign, if you live in Brooklyn, for Anna Marie Thompson, for Brooklyn Borough President, because Eric Adams ain't going to do it for you. Good brother, but he's been bought. See? The thing about us is that we independent, we unbossed, and we don't owe nobody nothing. And it's going to be our way or else. See how that works? See how that works? My way or else. Say it. My way or else. My way or else. My way or else. Adapt that philosophy. Pay attention to these so-called leaders they put before you, who bring you no justice, just rhetoric. Looking for civil suits, but don't want to get in the courtroom to change these laws. See, that's why they still fighting Tawana, because once we win that case, and we damn it going to win that case, it's going to change the legal paradigm here. Then we go into the world court. These are crimes against humanity. These illegal stop and frisks. Bodies buried, numbers they can't even stop counting. These are crimes against humanity. That's what they feared in Malcolm. That's what they really feared in King. That's what they feared in Mega. Revisit this history. Study the works of Henry Highland Garnett. Martin Delaney was serious. He stood firm on his square. I represent United African Movement, Freedom Retreat for Boys and Girls, RBG Nation, and soon Brownsville and East New York, Brooklyn. What you learned tonight, I want you to take it to somebody else, and next Wednesday, I want you to see somebody else with you. Bring somebody else with you. Nice to see Brother Oni back. He's been out for a little minute, like my brother. I'm glad to see him back in the spot. Brother Vaughn in the back, strong brother. You know, unsung heroes. Brother Michael James, unsung heroes. Brother Nooney putting that information out daily. Unsung heroes. This is what it's about. I want y'all to stop back and look at the t-shirts. If you ain't got no money this week, get it next week. We got it for you. Trust my word, I got you. Right, Robin? If I say I got you, I got you. We got to get that. We got to walk strong with it. This is history. A lot of y'all said, I wish I could have been down with Malcolm. I wish I could have been in there with Mega. If I was with Harry, I'd have had my side on too. I'm teaching Brownsville and Brooklyn how to get legal firearms. See, they ain't tell Adam Lanza's community to come to a buyback program when this fool killed 26 and his mom, if you believe their story. Where the buyback program for that? Bensonhurst is loaded with mobsters. Howard Beach is loaded with mobsters. Where the buyback program for that? Chinatown is loaded with mobsters. Where the buyback program for that? Coney Island loaded with Russian mafias. Where is the buyback program for that? The brother taught you about trick language. Don't get caught up in that nonsense. I want you all to stand. I want you to hold hands and make sure you get some of Brother Bilal's CDs and DVDs on the side here on your way out. Form this circle. Never let the circle be unbroken. Look at, I got my big brother on my side. See? See how I roll? Y'all better not try nothing. The Lord will tear you up. You better not try nothing. Come on, sisters. Come on, family. Let's form this circle. See how big my daughter is? Martial arts expert. She will tear you up. I roll with the best. Telling you. Master Dink is in the house. That's right. Give him a round of applause. I love him. Get your fight game on. A great man came to us from Jamaica who saw past the island of which he was born. He came to the United Snakes of America because he understood that once we got it right here first, the world would follow. Yes. Ask Harold, you think I'm lying? He understood that we are an African people.
We're African people.
Robbed of our homeland.
Robbed of our homeland.
Robbed of our name.
Robbed of our name.
Our religion.
Our religion.
Our culture.
Our culture.
Our womanhood.
Our womanhood.
Our manhood.
Our manhood.
Our brotherhood.
Our brotherhood.
Our sisterhood.
Our sisterhood.
Our motherhood.
Our motherhood.
Our fatherhood.
Our fatherhood.
Our nationhood.
Our nationhood.
And our self-respect.
And our self-respect.
But we shall rise.
We shall rise.
Never to fall
Never
again.
to fall again.
Up you mighty race.
Up you mighty race.
You can accomplish.
You can accomplish.
What you will.
What you will.
No justice.
No justice.
No peace.
No peace.
No justice.
No justice.
No peace.
No peace.
No justice. No peace. Travel safe. See you next week. Stop at the table in the back. I think the restaurant is open next door. Y'all be safe.